Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be showcasing a piece from my personal collection, a French model of 1915 Adrian helmet. A brief history, construction, design, and identifying features will be provided. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claim to be. Now, let's get into it. Adopted in 1915 following the outbreak of World War I, the French Adrian was the first modern combat helmet to see widespread use. Invented by General Auguste Louis Adrian, the model of 1915 could not reach the front line soon enough. Oblivious to the horrors of combat in the 20th century, the French, as with other warring nations, would march into an unspeakable hellscape, wearing kepis, soft caps, and other forms of headgear that offered little to no protection. As you might expect, casualties in the initial months of the war skyrocketed, with the Battle of Liège and First Battle of the Marne becoming the catalyst for head protection. Shrapnel and debris rained down in sheets upon unprotected soldiers, who could do nothing but watch. It is in these scenarios that the Adrian would become so very vital. Roughly 3 million M15 Adrian helmets would be produced by war's end, saving countless lives. They were constructed of a mild steel and offered limited protection. The Adrian helmet itself is a four-piece concept, being composed of the front visor, back rim, the shell itself, and the deflector crest, also known as the comb. The comb is attached by 4 rivets, 1 in the front, 2 in the middle, and 1 in the rear. The visor is held in place by 4 small rivets, 2 on each side. You may also encounter a weld at this joint with no rivets. It seems to be about 50-50. The Adrian was painted horizon blue, and luckily this example still retains that original paint, although slightly darkened. This M15 also boasts its branch insignia, which happens to be infantry. The infantry and cavalry are represented by a grenade and/or flaming bomb, the artillery by 2 superimposed cannons, and the chasseurs or light cavalry by a bugle horn. As a side note, the chasseurs are the French equivalent to shock troops. Other insignia are documented, but tend to be far less common. Now onto our liner. France opted for a 7-tongue leather liner and straightforward chin strap. Some of you may have noticed the chin strap stretched around the visor. I purchased the helmet in this condition and would highly advise against doing such a thing, especially to an original example, like you see here. It's not worth possibly damaging the leather, which is already well over 100 years old. I chose to leave the chin strap where I found it, again to avoid probable damage. The French also implemented an early shock absorption system. This accordion-like sheet metal, which is possibly tin, creates space between the liner and the inside of the helmet shell. As to its effectiveness, I would guess underwhelming, but for the first of its kind, not terrible. The M15 Adrian was one of the lightest helmets of the First World War, and proved quite effective at deflecting overhead shrapnel with its comb. So effective, in fact, that several countries would adopt the Adrian pattern helmet at the end of the First World War and during the interwar period. These nations include, but are not limited to, Italy, Mexico, Yugoslavia, Poland, Siam, and even the United States. Today, the Adrian helmet can be seen relegated to parade usage in Southeast Asia and Eastern Europe. I hope you've enjoyed today's short overview of the French model of 1915 Adrian helmet. More videos containing items from my personal collection are in the works. We are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated, and recommendations are always welcome. Until next time on Tipton Bros.